Hello, it's my nerd. I wanted to do a video today. I haven't done one for a while. Sorry about that. I've just been very busy with many different things. I'll just preface this actually by saying I've started a new channel, which is for a business. It's called Alien Rabbit, and it's a publishing business, but it's also where I'm going to be offering my tech consulting for programming, for all that sort of thing. So check it out. It's just Alien Rabbit. You can find it on YouTube as well. Noir Nerd's still going to be active. It's just a case of obviously recently I've just been documenting my space project. I've not had much time to do tutorials simply because I'm very busy with contracting work, in all honesty, and it consumes a lot of my time, nearly all my time to be honest. So I wanted to talk today about focus, especially if, like me, you're a programmer who contracts, but also works on your own work, when you feel inspired by something, right? It's hard. It is actually really hard to focus really intensely enough when you're doing contracting work and balance out enough time for each thing. So, for example, at the minute I'm working part-time, but I'm also working a sort of flexi full-time role. Now that, and on top of running my own business, right, or our business, I'm running this with Pancake Mao, who's another YouTuber. Check out her account, I'll put it down below. That is very stressful in a lot of ways. So something I'm dealing with at the minute is just finding the will not to get too stressed out, like sort of get into that Zen mode of now let me be completely honest, sometimes I have bad habit, like I smoke, sometimes I stay up too late. These are things I do need to reduce. I do exercise a fair amount. I've walked probably about 10 or 12 miles in the last week or so. I think I definitely walked 8 miles one day. I knew that much. That's a good thing, just getting outside. I've been getting outside, which is good. All this stuff helps, because looking in front of a screen and doing this mechanical motion for long periods of time isn't a natural human thing. I'm also a writer as well, actually, so it's the actual process of doing this is a creative form for me. Like I love language and analysing language and more so creatively using it, which is why I enjoy programming, one of the reasons. But for hyperfocus and like in general, it's like if you wanted to analyse this whole thing through the INTP, the Myers-Briggs psychology system, then INTPs often do struggle with focus because we're generally just drawn to novelty, right? And for me, like personally, whenever a job starts feeling like work, I almost lose interest, and I've struggled with this a bit recently, to be honest. There's a certain point where I've peaked at my interest and I start losing interest, and I have to like sort of make myself do it, really just sort of force myself. Music helps a lot. I put on music, and this mechanical motion of programming, even though there's a creative aspect, when you get the actual flow state workflow going on, that's amazing when you just like. But I mean, situations can change. Like at the minute, I'm working from a hotel, for example. It's a nice lamp here, but I'm working from a hotel, and it's okay. The Wi-Fi is not too bad, but I don't have a second screen, for example. And unconsciously, it's actually very frustrating not to have two screens. This is a cliche of developers, obviously, but it's a very true cliche. We need 2 or 3 monitors really to be at optimum ability to work. I do have a monitor actually nearby, so I'm going to pick it up tomorrow. But and that will just immediately calm me down, because I get stressed out often because like if you're going to focus on like doing, basically when you're programming, often you're doing multitasking. Now I'm no neurologist, but I'm also a man, right? So men, it's for, are generally not as naturally suited to multitasking as women's minds are, right? Women's brains. And maybe women will make just complete. Well, actually, funnily enough, women were the original programmers, and then we just lost that along the way for some reason. But I digress. Like, multitasking is not an easy skill. Like, especially if you're a programmer and you're working on a lot of complicated things. You've got to focus on the big. You've got to essentially focus on a big picture, how to get the entire system working flawlessly. It's perfect for perfectionists, because you have to be detail orientated, and if you get one thing wrong, you could break the entire system if you haven't. The architecture isn't good, basically. That's one of the hardest skills to actually learn. I'm getting better at that. I'm not perfect at it yet. I'm still learning about architecture, but in terms of like the functional way of doing things, I'm pretty good now. Like I understand the pure functions. I understand like this should return. Basically, I'm getting better at software architecture. Not open to repetitive. Making sure there's no duplication. Making sure that it's clean as much as I can be. There are still occasions though where I am writing 100 or 200 line files, and I try not to split too much, but code splitting does happen just as a natural consequence of programming sometimes, and just time limits and stuff. The fact that programming is time dependent is often a stressor, to be honest. Occasionally, if you're in an organisation where there's unrealistic deadlines, it can be a real pain in the ass. I'm lucky enough not to have that at the minute, actually. Like where I'm working, the main contracting programming role, there is a very realistic but and balanced workflow, right? There is a bit of leeway on how long things will take. It's not like you've got 4 days to do this when it's a project that will very likely take 2 weeks. And I do listen to the engineers, so it's good. I'm not going to talk about my work and where I work at the minute that much. Basically where I work contract. It's not a bad thing. Like I can talk about it. I work at iCandy, basically, who are, for my programming work, who are a AR software as a service, I guess, delivery agency doing augmented reality work. And they're an interesting good company to work for. I'm working with Play Canvas as well, which I've done a lot of tutorials for on this channel, and it's good because something I had as a hobby for like literally 7 years has now become a way to make money. That's a nice feeling, and that's a good thing. It can occasionally be frustrating though in the AR world because it's still quite new. Mobile phones can be my actual mobile phone at the minute is playing up. It's got a little bit of a broken screen. I have to get it replaced. Yada yada yada. Anyway, focus is difficult, but you have to just try and work on ways to get into that flow state, basically. I find coffee is a good and a bad thing. If I take too much coffee, I can get to a point where I just become anxious and my brain sort of overloads a bit. Especially if you have any sort of anxiety disorder or suffer from panic attacks, it's asking for trouble. Don't do it. You'll burn out faster than you can know. And I speak from experience. I've burnt out basically really badly once, to the point where I couldn't even look at a computer for like a year, really. So yeah, take that as a note of warning. Just if you're going to use coffee, like every programmer does at some point, but don't go crazy and have like 5 coffees and stay up till 8 o'clock at night, because you'll just be wiped out. You will be wiped out. Anyway, I think I'll leave it at that. Like and subscribe. Could do with engagement on the channel again. If you want to leave any comments, I do suspect, I don't know, but I think the channel's been shadow banned a bit, so make sure to like, because it helps with the algorithm and to just get my videos seen. Obviously, like a lot of the tutorials I want to create on here is just basically helping people get into coding, anything from 16 to adults, basically, or any age really. The thing is with programming, there's no age limit on this to when you can learn, right? I'd say you're not really capable of it until you're at least 11. There are some whiz kids. That was a nice little bit of coincidence. There are some whiz kids, like a person on the bike outside who can program at like 10 or 9 or something really well. But for most people, realistically, I know for myself, I started at 14, of just HTML. I didn't know what the hell any of it meant really at the time. It was just real nerdy guys who were into that, and I was sort of just got interested in it a little bit when I was playing games, really. Okay, I'll leave the video there. I won't beg any more for likes and subscribes. Just if you want to focus, just apply those tips I've given you now, and focus and listen to whatever. Like, everyone's got their own methods, but that's just some of my tips from experience. Anyway,